Yesterday we witnessed this.
Look, here's burial sites all over the place. These are all white farmers that are being buried.
No, this image doesn't show white farmers being buried in South Africa. In fact, the image shows Red Cross workers in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Just another lie by President Trump.
Wrong. Trump said exactly that.
This is very bad. These are burial sites right here. Burial sites. Over 1,000 of white farmers.
So I'm so confused. Was that not President Trump? Was that an AI video, or does the word burial site mean something different when he says it? Which is it?
What's up, YouTube family? Welcome back to my space. This is Ivan Strayola. Guys, thank you so much for tuning to watch today's episode. So guys, on today's video, we want to talk about the false accusation that Donald Trump made, in the media, in front of everyone in the world watching, because this was wild news. The other day in an Oval meeting with Donald Trump and the president of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, Donald Trump accused the president of pushing, white genocide in South Africa. And some of the allegations that he made, some of the proof that he showed on that day were nothing but lies. Later, people have proved that Donald Trump presented wrong images and videos. We saw him point into the TV, and misquote Kill the Boer by Julius Malema. We also saw him present a video, of cars moving, and by the sides of the road, there are crosses, and he claims that all these crosses on both sides of the road are white farmers who are killed and buried. The other third allegation that he proved and was wrong are photos that were taken by Reuters, in February of 2025. A photo from a video that was shot in Goma, in Congo, where there were mass killings then. He was claiming that those were white farmers being killed in South Africa. Remember, Donald Trump is one of the most powerful presidents in the world, and he went before the media to showcase nothing but false evidence. Guys have piled a series of videos of Americans complaining about this. Once the series of videos are done, we will get back and do a critical analysis about the same. Let's watch this together, family.
Remember these images Trump claimed were evidence of white genocide in South Africa?
These are all white farmers that are being buried.
They were actually pictures from the Democratic Republic of Congo. Let me explain. During an Oval Office meeting on May 21st, Trump caught South African President Cyril Ramaphosa off guard when he alleged that white farmers were being persecuted because of their race. Trump then presented alleged video evidence followed by a series of articles and images that he falsely claimed showed white farmers that are being buried in South Africa.
And look, here's burial sites all over the place. These are all white farmers that are being buried.
Following the meeting, Reuters revealed that one of the images Trump displayed was a screenshot from one of their videos that showed footage of humanitarian workers burying bodies in the city of Goma in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The footage was captured in February following deadly battles with Rwanda-backed M23 rebels, Reuters reports. The managing editor at the American Thinker, the conservative online magazine that published the blog post Trump showed to Ramaphosa, told Reuters that Trump had misidentified the image. Reuters video journalist Jafar Al-Katanti, who captured the images in question, was shocked to see Trump using their footage as false evidence of white genocide. In view of all the world, President Trump used my image, used what I filmed in the Democratic Republic of Congo to try to convince President Ramaphosa that in his country, white people are being killed by black people, the journalist said. During the meeting, Trump also showed video of white crosses along a South African highway that he incorrectly claimed were burial sites. When the crosses were placed in 2020, an organizer told South Africa's public broadcaster that the wooden crosses did not mark actual graves, but rather represented farmers who had been killed over the years. When the lights came back on in the Oval Office, Ramaphosa asked Trump if he knew where the footage was filmed, to which Trump responded, no.
Have they told you where that is, Mr. President? No, I'd like to know where that is, because this I've never seen.
I mean, it's in South Africa this week.
We need to find out.
During a White House press briefing on May 22nd, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt blindly defended Trump's claim that his video showed burial sites when asked about the footage by NBC News reporter Yamiche El-Sindor.
Are you disputing that there's no...
The fact that the video showed what the president claimed it showed, because it did not show that. But even more, what I'm asking you is who at the White House...
It did show that. It showed white crosses representing people who have perished because of racial persecution.
Leavitt refused to answer Alcindor's question about who verifies the images that the president presents as evidence in the Oval Office. Another organizer of the 2020 event has since confirmed to BBC that it's not a burial site, but it was a memorial.
Remember this from just a few days ago? Trump showed this image at the White House during a meeting with the South African president, claiming it was dead white farmers in South Africa.
These are all white farmers that are being buried.
But according to Reuters, this image is actually from the Democratic Republic of Congo, and it was filmed by Reuters video journalist. Reuters fact-check team said it actually showed humanitarian workers lifting body bags in Goma following a deadly assault by the rebel group M23. It's a screen grab from a video published by Reuters in February. Trump held up a blog post that wrote about that conflict in eastern DRC, as well as racial tensions in South Africa, from American Thinker. That's a conservative online magazine. The managing editor at American Thinker told him that President Trump had misidentified the image. The White House has not responded to CNN's request for comment. Also in the meeting, Trump played a video which he said showed evidence of genocide of white farmers in South Africa, a false right-wing conspiracy theory. Ramaphosa came to the U.S. to reset relations after Trump claimed white South Africans were being persecuted, which Ramaphosa denies.
Yamish, good to see you.
Hi, good. Thanks for taking the question.
Sure.
The president showed a video that he said showed more than 1,000 burial sites of white South Africans that he said were murdered. We know that that was not true and that the video wasn't showing that. So I wonder, why did the president choose to show that?
What's not true, Yamish?
It's not true that the video was showing a burial site. It is unsubstantiated that that's the case.
No, it is true that that video showed the crosses that represent.
Which is what the president claimed.
The video showed images of crosses in South Africa about white farmers who have been killed and politically persecuted because of the color of their skin. And those crosses are representing their lives. Those crosses are representing their lives in the fact that they are now dead and their government did nothing about it. Are you disputing that there's no...
The fact that the video showed what the president claimed it showed, because it did not show that. But even more, what I'm asking you is who at the White House...
No, it did show that. It showed white crosses representing people who have perished because of racial persecution.
Verifies the videos that the president shows, and what protocols are in place when there's unsubstantiated information being put out for the world and world leaders to
Yamish,
show?
what's unsubstantiated about the video? The video shows crosses that represent the dead bodies of people who were racially persecuted by their government. In fact, the Associated Press, of all places, has a picture of that very monument, and the caption from the Associated Press is, "Each cross marks a white farmer who has been killed in a farm murder." So it is substantiated, not just by that video and the physical evidence that everybody saw on display in the Oval Office, but also by another outlet in this room, the Associated Press. So you should take it up with them if you believe the claim is unsubstantiated, and that's a ridiculous line of questioning.
I have a quick update on the claims that Donald Trump has made against South Africa about genocide. This update involves the alleged evidence that Donald Trump showed the journalists and the president of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa. And just a quick recap of how that meeting went. Donald Trump made claims of genocide in South Africa against white farmers. He then showed journalists and President Ramaphosa a video in which cars were parked along a highway alongside a series of white crosses, and Donald Trump claimed that these farmers had been killed in the past couple days and that these crosses represented a mass burial site. He then pulled out a large stack of papers that were newspaper articles he claimed were from South Africa, explaining the genocide going on. In just a day, both of these claims have already been disproved. Firstly, the video with the crosses, it turns out, wasn't a mass grave site, and those crosses didn't represent individual people who had died. It turns out that that was actually a part of a memorial site commemorating an event in which farmers did die. But it wasn't to commemorate some kind of white genocide that Donald Trump is claiming took place in the past few days. And it also didn't mark a mass grave site along the highway. Secondly, the stack of newspaper articles, he didn't really show the newspaper articles to any cameras except for one. One camera got a shot of the article, and on it was a photo. And in that photo, Africans in paramedic gear were loading bodies into body bags in an ambulance. That was a photo of a genocide that is taking place actively in Africa. It is not South Africa. As it turns out, a photojournalist recognized that photo instantly because it was a photo that they had taken. It was a photo of the Congolese genocide, in which the U.S. is partially responsible for and is actively perpetuating to make profits. So again, he made these unsubstantiated claims about a genocide that no one has ever heard of on the same day that a UN report came out that 14,000 infants were about to starve to death. However, even with this new evidence, and even when more evidence comes out that there isn't a genocide going on, I guarantee you there's still going to be a lot of ignorant Trump thumpers that still believe in this propaganda. And those Trump thumpers are going to believe this because they're more concerned with a fictional genocide against white people than the countless genocides that America is currently perpetuating and currently profiting off of. And just to be crystal clear, if it doesn't go without saying, if you live in Turtle Island, they are committing all of those genocides in your name, with your money, and against your will. Each of these genocides cost billions of dollars, while the people here in Turtle Island struggle to make ends meet. And if you think Israel is America's only militarized genocidal colony, think again. They may call themselves sovereign nations, but they answer to the U.S. and do whatever the U.S. wants. In fact, America has so many militarized colonies around the world that call themselves sovereign nations that Turtle Island, South America, Africa, West Asia, Asia, and Europe will never know peace as long as the American empire is still standing. Because the American government will always sow division and hatred throughout the world to encourage war and genocide so that the politicians and oligarchs can keep lining their pockets with the military-industrial complex. So just a quick recap, there is currently no evidence of genocide in South Africa. The U.S. government wants to distract us from the multiple genocides that they are committing in our name and against our will. And the world will not know peace as long as the American empire is still standing. As always, we're not free until we're all free. And that includes the people of every single empire on this planet. And from the river to the sea. Peace.
Donald Trump seems to be on a mission to have ever-increasingly embarrassing meetings in the Oval Office. Most recently, he hosted the president of South Africa, who he looked in the face and told, "Your country has a white genocide." And the president was like, "Well, respectfully, no, that's not happening." And Donald Trump's like, "Yes, it is." And then he pulled out evidence, only that evidence has all been debunked. Like, he showed a video of all of these little white crosses along a roadway. And Donald Trump said, These are burial sites right here." And then he said, "Each one of these white things you see is a cross. There's approximately 1,000 of them. They're all white farmers, the family of white farmers. Those people are all killed," Trump added. So first of all, apparently people are just buried on top of each other along a roadway, by his logic. No, those are not burial sites, nor do they represent dead farmers, and you don't have to take my word for it. You can take the word of the man who put up those crosses. There were 2 farmers who were killed, and as part of a protest to that, they went along this roadway and put white crosses up that were then removed after the protest. They didn't represent individual people. It was just about these 2 people. Then Donald Trump showed a video where a person in a red beret repeatedly chants, "Kill the Boer, kill the farmer," and speaks about taking land without compensation. That person is Julius Malema, who founded the small but radical party Economic Freedom Fighters after being expelled from the African National Congress, of which the president is a member. And after playing that video, the president explained to Donald Trump that does not represent the policies of this government. South Africa's opposition agriculture minister also said many parties had worked to keep extremists out of government. That guy and his group are extremists. They are not in power. And then Donald Trump pulled out a photo and he's like, "These are dead white people who were killed in the genocide." The picture he's showing is from the Congo, because Africa is a continent that has many countries within it. It wasn't in South Africa that happened. It was in the Congo. And in response, the president of South Africa, who had to sit there and be berated by a man who confidently declared things that were categorically false and used evidence that was inaccurate and not true, his only response he could really say was, "I'm sorry I don't have a plane to give you." Because apparently this administration, if you do something like gift them a plane, they forgive all kinds of terrible things. But today, my feed is full of conservative creators who all made the same video where they look at the camera and have music playing and they nod as text on the screen reads, "Donald Trump confronting the president of South Africa about the white genocide is exactly what I voted for." Is it? You voted for theatrics based on conspiracy theories that are false, using fake information? That's what you voted for? Meanwhile, while you're celebrating this big W, more than 7 million could lose Medicaid in House mega bill approved Thursday. Yeah, they're going to take away Medicaid for a ton of people, not to mention all the food assistance programs that are being shut down that will affect children, will affect veterans, will affect seniors. And you're too busy looking over here as they snap their fingers and go, "White genocide, look what's happening in South Africa, we got to help." And you're like, "Oh, that's terrible," as they literally rob basic shit from you, as they use your tax dollars to import white immigrants and simultaneously use your tax dollars to deport brown immigrants. And I'm all for people who need protection being allowed to come here and seek protection. But meanwhile, he's revoked the protection, the asylum status of thousands of Venezuelans, for example, who face actual real threats, while giving it to people who aren't facing the threats that he's made up. That's this administration.
President of the United States is an embarrassment and a liar, and the latest example of embarrassment and lying came in front of not just the president of South Africa, but in front of the entire world. Seemingly some research was done here that's really at the level of like a 6th grader who's cramming to write a paper that they forgot about for the past month. It was showing the president of South Africa a series of news clippings that were allegedly supposed to support his false claim that there is a genocide of white farmers. Except this clipping right here was a general article from a tiny news source that has absolutely nothing to do with South Africa. This is talking about general tribalism in Africa, and this right here is from an attack that took place in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. You might remember when that happened. It was absolutely awful. It was back in February when over 100 female prisoners were raped and then burned alive. Donald Trump is doing here is using a clipping talking about black women being killed in a different country to back up his claim of a white genocide in South Africa. That is how fucking unhinged the United States is right now. Donald also showed old footage of an anti-apartheid song being sung at a rally for a small party that won 9.5% of the vote in last year's election. Now, Donald also showed this, which is gone. He said this is still here, it's not there. He said every single one of these crosses was for a white farmer that was killed. This entire thing was a memorial for one couple that was killed in 2020. God rest their souls, but this was not representative of thousands of white farmers. This was about one couple. To get at Trump's claims of white genocide, we could just look at the actual data. There were 26,232 murders last year in South Africa, one of the most dangerous countries in the world. 44 of those killings were in the farming community, and 8 of those people were farmers. Let's say, for argument's sake, every one of those farmers was white. That would mean 0.03% of the murders in South Africa last year were white farmers. Is that a genocide? Man is a lying fuck and an embarrassment to the country, and he is setting us back on the world stage every day.
Yesterday we witnessed this.
Look, here's burial sites all over the place. These are all white farmers that are being buried.
No, this image doesn't show white farmers being buried in South Africa. In fact, the image shows Red Cross workers in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Just another lie by President Trump.
I used to think Donald Trump was just pure evil. But after listening to him talk about South Africa and the conspiracy theories that he believes about what's going on there, even when people who are from there are telling him that it's not true, and he brings out unreliable source after unreliable source. He is a Facebook dad. Our president is not smart enough to discern conspiracy theories and fact. He is no better than my grandpa or my dad sharing videos on Facebook. I truly think our president is just an idiot now. I mean, maybe he's rooted in evil too, but the guy is a Facebook dad sharing videos about Bigfoot.
If you don't think Donald Trump is racist, then you did not just witness what happened between him and the South African president in the Oval Office while they were supposed to be discussing coming together on a bill. Donald Trump never gave a fuck about Gaza. he never gave a fuck about you. So for everybody who said, oh my goodness, we are voting for him because Joe Biden allowed a mass genocide to happen. Donald Trump just asked the South African president in the Oval Office why he allowed white refugees to go through a genocide in South Africa. Do you know how fucking crazy that is? The same white refugees he brought here to take all the farmland that the government seized that have no farming skills. Same immigrants from Africa that their entire lineage is known for killing Africans to take their land. Yeah, he just asked the president of South Africa, the black president, why he allowed them to experience a genocide and confronted him on a genocide in South Africa. That is not fucking happening, by the way. It's not happening. So for everyone who's like, oh, well, why would we vote for Biden? And did he ask the leader of Israel why he's encouraging a genocide? Or seizing the Gaza Strip? Or unaliving thousands of people daily? No, but he asked in the name of white refugees. Okay, what fucking timeline are we in? What fucking timeline are we in that our president is ignoring having parts in a war that has actively been an actual genocide, but instead turned to racism and these white refugees who literally are descendants of some of the worst racists in the world, and asked their president why he'd allowed them to experience genocide? That didn't happen. I need to get the fuck out of this place. I need to get out of this place. We're doomed. We're going the wrong way.
Wrong. Trump said exactly that.
This is very bad. These are burial sites right here. Burial sites. Over 1,000 of white farmers.
So I'm so confused. Was that not President Trump? Was that an AI video? Or does the word burial site mean something different when he says it? Which is it?
The president showed a video that he said showed more than 1,000 burial sites of white South Africans that he said were murdered. We know that was not true and that the video wasn't showing that. So I wonder, why did the president choose to show that?
What's not true, Yamiche?
It's not true that the video was showing a burial site.
These are burial sites right here. Burial sites. Over 1,000 of white farmers. And those cars are lined up to pay love on a Sunday morning. Each one of those white things you see is a cross. And there's approximately 1,000 of them. They're all white farmers, the family of white farmers.
It is unsubstantiated that that's the case.
No, it is true that video showed the crosses that represent.
Which is what the president claimed.
The video showed images of crosses in South Africa about white farmers who have been killed and politically persecuted because of the color of their skin. And those crosses are representing their lives. Those crosses are representing their lives in the fact that they are now dead and their government did nothing about it. Are you disputing that there's no...
I'm disputing the fact that the video showed what the president claimed it showed, because it did not show that. But even more, what I'm asking you is who at the White House...
No, it did show that. It showed white crosses representing people who have perished because of racial persecution.
Verify the videos that the president shows, and what protocols are in place when there's unsubstantiated information being put out for the world and world leaders to show?
Yamiche, what's unsubstantiated about the video?
Family, from where I am sitting, I find it so off, for the President of the United States of America to present wrong images, wrong videos as proof of white genocide in South Africa, and embarrassing the President of South Africa seated next to him, accusing him of pushing white genocide in South Africa. I find it so off that the president, with all the resources that he has, with all the advisors, with all the intelligence he can get, I do not understand where he got false images. I do not understand where he got false videos claiming that there is white genocide in South Africa. The other day, he said that he'll be giving white South Africans, an opportunity to be permanent refugees in America, because he said that these people are being killed. These people are facing genocide. And funny enough, for the first time, he's taken to the internet He's called a presser in the Oval meeting to ensure that he embarrasses South African president. But the media never forgets. Some of the videos and images that he presented were actually from different countries. And that, according to me, is very embarrassing, coming, from a great leader. Accusing also Julius Malema and asking Cyril Ramaphosa why the guy is not arrested yet. And yet the country's court, the High Court, proved that the Kill the Boer song is actually a song that started from the Black Liberation Movement in South Africa years ago. And it has no intention in any way, to try and get rid of white farmers in South Africa. There's been a lot of misinformation. There's been a lot of distorting information, by the President Donald Trump. And that's why it has become very, very awkward presenting false evidences, as a whole president of America. There is a lot right now, and the political temperatures in both South Africa and America are boiling up. And I think most of the reasons as to why this is going about is because people are having false information. I really wish that people could have argued from a point of facts, from a point of good proof, and show what is actually happening. You cannot accuse somebody and you do not have proper evidence, to ensure that these people are jailed. When Donald Trump asked Cyril Ramaphosa that why is Malema free, that felt like dictatorship. South Africa has their own law. South Africa has democracy, and they did what was rightful in the time. They sat him down in the court of law and they proved that this guy was an innocent man. Seeing certain notions being pushed in 2025 just saddens me. There isn't in any way any threat to white South Africans. Donald Trump must have an hidden agenda as to why he wants to bring the Afrikaners, in America, and as to why he's already given them, an opportunity to get some of these privileges that people who've been living in America for the longest time haven't gotten to have sometimes. Latinas are crying. They supported Donald Trump. People are regretting voting for him. It's becoming crazy and crazy as days goes by. Right now in the internet, when you look at the X, TikTok, Instagram, and any other platform, you'll notice what is trending right now is the false images, that were presented on that day. And that is actually very, very wrong. Sitting a whole president down, lecturing them, and providing false evidence. Some of the things that Julius Malema said, as he was trying to get back to the claims that Donald Trump had. Some of the things that he said is that it was very, very embarrassing to see the president of South Africa being lectured, but he wouldn't answer. He called his president a coward because he thinks that some of the questions that he was being asked by Donald Trump, were so easy, and that he could articulated himself better and address these issues because he has one role as the president is defend the sovereignty of South Africa and South Africans, in such a big stage. We could see President Ramaphosa being very, very afraid. And this just shows where Africa we are. Just shows how people are meddling into our businesses, even when we're doing things the rightful way. Guys, let me know in the comment section what you think about this video. Let me know what you think by the presentations that Donald Trump gave, in broad daylight in the Oval Office. Let us know in the comment section down below. Kindly like the video so that it can be recommended to other YouTube users, and I'll be very, very grateful. Thank you, and see you all in our next episode. Goodbye for now.